don't live according to what we want. We typically live according to what we believe. And most of what we believe, we never chose. Welcome back to Unzipped Lips again. I'm your hostess, Mary Freshwater, and we are unzipping some truth on the narratives that we have written and believe in. And I want to start at something that I haven't taken time to talk about up to now. And it's something I really, really do believe in. And that is the power of words and healing. And the reason why I bring this up is because when we're talking through this episode about ownership and narrative, we really need to understand the power of those words. And the choice of words that we use within our life dictate how we move forward. And I know a lot of people who work on mindset, talking about choosing your words, staying positive, but I don't think we talk enough about even the definition of the words that we use and the weight that they carry, whether you know what that word fully means or not. And so, with going with that, I want to talk about the definition, first off, of narrative, which is a noun. A narrative is a story or an account used to describe an event, experience, or ideas, especially those events are organized, interpreted, and given meaning. So, this is stating that how we narrate what has happened to us, that is what we're carrying. That is how it carries meaning with us. It's the weight on our shoulder. That narrative of what happened is what makes the weight of the event, that experience, or the idea of what happened. So, in plain terms, it's the story you tell. What happened, why it happened, and what it says about you or the world. So when you have this negative narrative and you are just carrying this negative weight of experiences and you're unable to write a different narrative, it continues to bog you down. Even though narratives happen in layers. So there's multiple layers of a narrative. So the first one is what happened to you, the event, this abuse or sexual assault, whatever it is, that is what happened. So that is one key layer of a narrative. The next is, how is it told? How are you framing it? The tone, the focus. Are you focused on the victimization? Are you focused on how brutal it was? What is the tone you are utilizing in order to tell this story? And then what it means. So the interpretation or the message. What does it mean? So when you look at examples, you have historical narrative, how history is explained or remembered. We have personal narratives, the story you tell about your life. Cultural narratives, shared beliefs of society and what it keeps repeating. Internal narratives, the story you tell yourself about who you are. And that is something I want to help you focus more on because you can't change historical narratives. So that's even in your life, your past, it's history. It's no longer present. You can't change what happened. But the personal narrative, you can change. The internal narrative, you can change. And it's important to find out what that means because facts are pretty much, those are fixed. But narratives can be shaped and they can be changed. And this is where I can't express enough the weight of what you're telling yourself. that narrative that you're telling yourself. Because two people can live through the same event and carry a completely different narrative about it. And so when we start to look at the definition of narrative, you get why I keep talking about you need to decide the narrative. What happened to you? Yes, happened to you. But what are you telling yourself? And how are you explaining it? What are you taking from it? What's the meaning behind all of it? And the next word that I want to look more at is ownership. Yet again, another noun. And ownership is another huge word when it comes to healing. And what happens next? Ownership is the act of accepting responsibility, authority, and accountability over something, whether that's an action, decision, outcome, belief, or just a part of your life. So again, in simple terms, it means this is mine to acknowledge and to respond to. So when just like there's layers in narrative, there are elements in ownership, responsibility, recognizing your role without deflecting, accountability, standing behind choices and outcomes, agency, understanding you have power to act or change, integrity, not blaming, minimize, or avoiding truth. These elements make so much of that word and why I talk so much about ownership, because you can't change your past. Your past has been written. You can't rewrite that. You can't rewrite your past. It is done. It is gone, and you need to move on. And who are you becoming next is 100% on you. So ownership is not the same as blame as well. Some people get those mixed up. Blame is saying this is my fault, I'm bad. Ownership is this is mine to address, learn, or change. So ownership is taking responsibility for your reactions, healing, growth. Emotional ownership is acknowledging how you feel without protecting them from others. Life ownership is deciding who you become instead of living on autopilot. So the bottom line is ownership is where power begins. And when you own the narrative that is being told, you can start to change so much in your life. Ownership is typically a missing piece, along with the knowledge of the words you're using, taking ownership of the words you're using. And ownership is the biggest missing piece next to all of that. Healing fails when we stop at awareness. Cool. You got to awareness. You have some self-awareness going on. But if you stop there, you don't continue climbing the mountain of life, you're only part of the way there. Awareness says this came from trauma. Ownership says it stops with me and it stops here. I'm not going to continue to believe I'm a victim. I'm not going to allow that traumatic incident to keep re-victimizing me every single day and keep me trapped there. Because it's done, it's gone. Let me tell myself a new story. You can understand where a belief came from and still be responsibility for changing it. Just because this trauma explains your belief doesn't mean you have to keep voting it into your life. At some point, healing becomes a decision, not a discovery. You need to be able to move yourself forward. Narratives and beliefs are not truth. They are rehearsed thoughts that have played so much in your mind that you believe them. Beliefs are repeated and reinforced by your own decisions and actions. Emotionally charged. Most beliefs are instilled during childhood, survival, chaos of this world, power imbalance within yourself, where your mind and your emotions are trying to struggle against each other and not work with each other. Yeah, that happens. Talked about it on the last episode. We also inherit beliefs. I'm hard to love. I'm always behind. I'm always late. I can't trust anyone because this person did me wrong. The list goes on. I can't earn enough. I don't get enough rest. I'm unlovable. I'm never going to know safety. These are all negative narratives you keep telling yourself. Yes, trauma helped introduce them and you kept believing them. You kept playing that record in your mind and allowed it to stay. That is now on you. And I understand it's really, really hard to let go of narratives that are so familiar because they become an identity. They're our identity now. They're our safety blanket. Sorry. Why do you want to hold onto a safety blanket full of barbed wire? I mean, that is my legit question for you. If these negative narratives and beliefs are hurting you, why are you holding onto a safety blanket of barbed wire? I understand it feels like betrayal to let these go because they were so embedded into your identity. You feel disloyal, that so unfamiliar. Who am I without this? I get that. Everybody goes through this trial and growth period when you're being challenged and being pushed outside that comfort zone. But that comfort zone was built in trauma. That comfort zone was built in survival. That comfort zone was built in a life you no longer want. So why are you holding on to it? Why are you grasping at it like a safety blanket? Yet it's a safety blanket of barbed wire. Again, losing a version of you that have survived so much feels like a betrayal. Like you don't know where you can go from here. Even though this pain is familiar, unfamiliar, doesn't feel right, even though it's peace. You don't keep your old beliefs because they're true. You keep them because they are familiar. And when you really start to own that and understand that, you can start to quietly change your entire life. So when you start to change these beliefs and these narratives that you have been telling yourself, and you own what that means, you get to become so much more. You are the partner you choose to become. The job that you settled for, you know you can do better now. And you settled just because it's what it was. The boundaries you don't set keep you hurting, keep you in victimization. When you know that this is the belief, you can't have boundaries because no one's going to love you, that's a horrific narrative. You can have boundaries and have amazing people in your life. Some of the most successful relationships have some of the greatest boundaries I've ever seen. The standards you negotiate with to allow people in your life, how about changing that? You're rejecting everything that is good by holding on to these narratives of whatever these beliefs are. When you start to throw those away, you start to truly understand who you are, what you're capable, and who you can become. But you have to take ownership without blame or shame. And that is hard to do at first. Because ownership is not, this is my fault. I wore the wrong things. Yeah, I invited it. Oh, I didn't see the red flags soon enough. I stayed too long. No, that is not ownership. Ownership is I'm aware and I choose differently now. I understand how it happened, but I'm not that person anymore, and I'm not going to continue that road. That is ownership. I am no longer outsource my worth. That means your worth is all in here, and it's not in do you have the best person next to you? Do you have enough friends? Do you have enough followers? I'm not a social media influencer, nor will I ever be, because that is not the name of my game. But my source of worth is all in here. Who am I? And once you can understand that your worth is all within you and has nothing to do with exterior success, friends, relationships, peace comes in overwhelming amounts. And you stop repeating things that harm yourself. Responsibility is power, not punishment. You don't need permission to evolve, but you need to evolve to give yourself permission to live. That is so true. And here's one of the biggest truths that I can't explain enough. You are reinforcing your beliefs daily. And that means if you're staying silent, you are saying, I'm not worth speaking up. Overfunction. That's saying that you haven't earned your worth that day. You don't have to earn your worth. Your worth is there. Whether someone wants to see it or not, that's not on you. That's on them. You know your worth. You don't have to prove it. Sit in it. Own it. Love it. You're accepting less than you deserve. If you can't have basic human decency from your partner, that's accepting way less than you deserve. But mind you, you need to be the same person in return. And I say this because a few of my friends have in the past told me my standards for the partner I'm looking for are just too high. And it's funny because I laughed and I said, well, I'm not willing to lower the standards I live by in order to accept a partner with lower standards. You match. You got to be on the same level as somebody when you're dating. You have to have the same standard in your relationship of what things look like. What is healthy communication? You guys both need to agree on this and both live by it. Have a standard. And the best part is when you have a standard for a quality, a person in your life, you don't need any expectations. You're not disappointed all the time because you don't have to live and put people in boxes anymore. You just have great people around you. And I kind of got on an off trail, but coming back, in order to change and correct what you believe in these narratives does not start with affirmations. So affirmations are great and all. I mean, don't get me wrong. If there's one that just totally boils in and hits your soul, keep it, put it up, have it as a reminder. But it starts with contradicting the beliefs through actions. So you can't just be like, oh, I believe this. No, you have to contradict those negative narratives with the actions you're putting out and putting in your life. Actions will carry that weight faster. That actions will relieve it. It will be able to propel you forward. Beliefs don't break with logic. They break with evidence. So if your actions are pushing you forward, the beliefs and those negative narratives will be able to disappear. But you need to take the actions. You need to move yourself forward. So here it comes with bright new narratives, living differently. New beliefs sound like I can learn new ways of being safe. I don't need proof of my value. I can disappoint people and still be worthy. But these require getting uncomfortable. These require boundaries, emotional risks, vulnerability. Growth feels wrong at first, but because it is so unfamiliar. Healing feels unsafe because it's so freeing. And you've lived in chains, in boxes, in cages, in jail cells for far too long that those feel safe. Freedom doesn't feel safe. So I want to give you some questions. Well, let's just give you one question. I want you to get to ownership. What belief am I protecting that is costing me way too much in my life? Answer that question. Because you are not stuck because of what happened to you. You are stuck because you keep living by beliefs that weren't built in thriving. They were built in survival. This is the moment you can stop asking where they came from and start deciding whether they're coming with you. You get to choose. Take ownership of your life. Take ownership of the narratives and the beliefs that you tell yourself. Take actions to contradict them and prove to yourself you are worth everything in this world that you want to fight for. Your actions is what gets you to the next level, not the pretty affirmations. So understand the definition of the words that you're using, that you're carrying. Take ownership of them and change the beliefs and the narratives that you built in survival that are dragging you down. So that is all for this episode of Unzipped Lips. Thank you for unzipping with me. Don't forget, I would love to work with you, changing the narratives, changing your beliefs, and getting you to powerful spots in your life with ownership. You can find me at buildyou.us. You can get a clarity call. You can get coaching started with me, or just go to Amazon and get my workbook, Build You After Trauma. Start there. Starting is the key. Understanding your words and ownership of your healing. I'll see you on the next episode. Don't forget to like, follow, and share with someone that would find value in this. Catch you on the next episode.